What it do, boo-boos? This your girl Aisha the Goddess. So today I like to talk about the fact that spiritual growth is really not in a straight line. And what I mean by that is it is sometimes it's all over the place. I've always likened it to a spiral because the more you go forward, you're gonna regress in certain areas, and there's certain things that you're gonna there's certain things that are gonna recur over and over and over again. You think you've solved that issue, you think you've healed from that issue, and boom, it's gonna pop back up. Like my issue is I have daddy issues. So due to the fact that my father did not raise me, my stepfather raised me. I had issues with my stepfather. And now, anytime my stepfather does something, it's always blown out of proportion for me. It's always a bigger deal for me than it actually is because it triggers those daddy issues. So that's just something that I've noticed a pattern that pops up over and over again in my life. This is one thing I will say about egolessness and the spiritual path. People think that the goal is to be without ego. And it's impossible to be completely without ego because you need the I, you need the ego to navigate you through life. However, when I say be in ego, the act of being in ego is the act of thinking whatever's happening, whoever's saying anything, whatever's going on should be the way you think it should be. When you start thinking it's not going the way I should be, you might not think that literally, but it's just a reaction to something. Like, and you react with those emotions, it pisses you off. Or it's something that's you're butting heads and you're arguing against, and it's just, a challenge for you. And that is being an ego. And this is my thing about that. That's never gonna go all the way away. You're going to have moments in life where your ego just malfunctions. And it's kind of memory muscle. It's a force of habit. The ego is a creature of habit. So in order to transcend it, in order to use it as a tool, in order to use it as your where you're the puppeteer of the ego, in order to do that, you have to create new habits. This is the thing that I've noticed over the years of wanting to change, or wanting to get better, or wanting to experience spiritual enlightenment or spiritual growth, or whatever you want to call it. It's really only a matter of habit. You do things because that's the habit that you've been doing them, and you're used to that habit. And in order to change the way you think, in order to change that, you have to first change the way you think, and then you have to first change the habit. But it's just a matter of doing it over and over again. I have the ability to take things in stride better. I'm still working on it. Like I said, ego malfunctions all the time. But it might take me a day, a couple of hours. Say I'm wrestling with something. I wanted something and it just didn't work out the way I wanted. And quite naturally, the human instinct is to be upset about it. And the key to spiritual freedom is not thinking that you have to control this or you have to suppress this. You know, it's sad to see and it's sad to say, but if you try to suppress the ego and you try to pretend like it doesn't exist, or you try to suppress it and try to control, I'm not going to react this way, I'm going to, uh, everything is going to be all good with me all of the time. When that ego comes back out, it's going to ruin some shit. It's going to come back out with a vengeance because it wasn't a genuine act of I am without ego. It was just like pretending. It's really like I'm going to suppress it. I'm going to pretend like it doesn't exist. And true spiritual freedom is just accepting that it is what it is. See, the ego is like a kid that is throwing a temper tantrum. You know, the more you pay attention to the kid, the worse the temper tantrum is. And you could say, stop doing that. And that's just going to make the kid cry harder, scream harder, kick harder. And you know, it's a reason why experts say just step over the kid and act like they ain't doing it. And I know that in the reality of the situation is we be going to snatch that little motherfucker up, you know, but the ego is the same way. It will start tripping, and you know the best way to is to let it run its course, let it run out of steam. Don't attach what you think should happen to the situation. Don't attach. It's a lack of attachment of how you think it should go. It really, you know, like it. I contemplate this all the time because it's such a paradox. Because we're co-creators by naturally, you know. We're verbs. Human beings, we like to do shit. We like to think about stuff. We like to create stuff, you know, and our mind automatically creates the perfect scenario for the situation. Our mind is like, if I was her, I would do it this way. If those was my kids, I would do it this way. That's just how we are. But in the reality is, I have a good thing with allowing. As a mother, I can teach my kids, I can give my kids principles, and I can give them lessons, and I can teach them to be kind and loving and generous and respectful individuals. And they turn into teenagers that completely toss all of that shit out the window. They completely run around and lose their damn mind for like years. And there's nothing I can do about it. And as a mother, it's like on the one hand, I want to respect them as kids and having their own minds and doing what they want. Well, I want to respect them as their own individual souls and their own individual life lessons and their own individual growth patterns and way they look at things, and allow that to develop and not stifle that with control. But on the other hand, I'm their mother. It's my job to decide how they're going to be in society, what type of people I want them to turn out with. So it's like how much do I control the situation? You know, it's really no right answer. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, yeah, you'll figure it out. And other times I'm like, no, you go sit in this corner until you do the right thing. So you just gotta figure it out. I mean, but I have no choice but to accept the fact that they're going through whatever they're going through as teenagers. That's just something that happens. And no, I don't want them to lose their mind. I just don't. But I have to accept that they will lose their mind and just try to help them get it back, you know. But that's really all I gotta say about that, man. The ego is real tricky. It's real tricky. But you let it do what it do, let it throw a temper tantrum, and then after it finishes and runs out of gas, then you know implement. Okay, well, moving forward, I'm doing this. Acceptance of, okay, this happened because shit happens, and a lot of times things are out of our control anyway. So moving forward, I'm gonna set this into motion. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. I'll holler at you later. Peace.